60 votes. For most bills, it requires 60 votes. So 60 out of 100, right? So the reconciliation process allows a bill to pass the Senate with a simple majority of 51. So if the bill qualifies for the reconciliation process, that bill will only require 51 votes to pass in the Senate, right? So, and what is the requirement? How would a bill qualify for the reconciliation process? And to qualify for the reconciliation process, the bill must meet one big requirement. That bill must have a direct impact on the budget. And then that rule or that requirement was established in the 1980s. It's called the Byrd Rule. It's named after Senator Robert Byrd of West Virginia. Again, it was established in the 1980s as part of the Congressional Budget Act. So essentially, what the requirement says, if the bill must have a direct impact on the budget, right? So not an incidental or indirect impact. The impact must be a very meaningful and direct impact on the budget. So that's the biggest requirement. So as you can imagine, if one party controls both the House and the Senate, then they can use this process, right? So in the Senate, they'll only need a simple majority, 51, and in the House, they'll also need a simple majority as usual. The Democrats in the past, in the Biden administration, the Democrats controlled, I think, the first 2 years of the Biden administration. The Democrats controlled both the House and then the Senate, and then they tried to use this process. So this process is not new.
Something, yeah.
Yeah. So pretty much any party that controls both the House and the Senate, and then what's called the trifecta, if they have the presidency, the House and the Senate, they will try to use this process. And I think with the Biden administration, it was called the Build Back Better Act. If your viewers or listeners might remember, in 2021, 2022. And so the Republicans are trying to use this process. So now that we have covered the requirement for the budget, for the reconciliation process, let's talk about the process itself, right? So the process starts with a budget resolution. So a budget resolution will set the goals, the budgetary goals that the bill must achieve, right? So these are like general instructions, right? Like about what the bill should do or should accomplish, right? And then those instructions then are passed to the committees, and then the committees will then draft the actual legislation. So the committee will write the bill, the laws, and then once the committee do the markups, decide on the content of the legislation, again referring to those instructions, the budget resolutions, then they will send it to the budget committee for review. So the budget committee will review just to make sure that, and again, the biggest thing is that the content, everything in the legislation must meet the Byrd requirement, the Byrd rule. And then once the budget committee clears the resolution or the actual legislation, then the legislation is brought up to the floor for a vote. Like we saw last week, so the reconciliation bill, it's called the Big Beautiful, the One Big Beautiful Act. So it was brought to the House floor and it passed. So now this bill is headed to the Senate. And again, remember, in the Senate will do their own review. They will possibly or most likely make amendments, revisions to this bill. And if they do, then the bill will have to go back to the House for approval. Because remember, the last version of the bill must pass or be approved by both the House and the Senate. So now this bill is headed to the Senate, and I think they should start discussing this in the next couple of weeks. Now, let's talk about the content. And then one last thing is that this bill, once approved by the Senate and then the House, it doesn't require the president's signature, like most pieces of legislation. So this one, as long as it's approved by Congress, Senate, and House, the president's signature is not required. Now, let's talk about the provisions or the content of this bill. So I'll start with the general provisions that we've seen in this bill. One big provision that's popular is that this bill makes tips and overtime pay tax-free. So you won't pay any taxes on overtime pay and tips. So that's one big requirement. Big provision with this bill. The other one, like the general provisions, is that this bill cuts federal spending significantly. And a couple ways that it cuts federal spending is that one, this bill adds some requirements for anyone to qualify for public benefits like Medicare,
food stamp,
food stamp, and so there are additional requirements for anyone to qualify for those public benefits, public programs. Number three, the bill rolls back some of President Biden clean energy incentives. So like the tax credits for EV electric vehicles or for climate projects. And then also this bill raises the country debt ceiling by $4 trillion. The debt ceiling is essentially the limit imposed by Congress to the amount of money that the federal government can borrow. So those are I'll say the general provisions before we go into the immigration.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'll stop there.
No, keep going. I was checking to see if we got questions, but I didn't see anything. So yeah, keep going. Thank you.
All right. So now immigration provisions. As I mentioned, this administration is focused on enforcement, detention, and one of the biggest challenges that we've seen is that they're setting aggressive goals with detention and detention and enforcement, right? So there is a number of, I think they published this administration published the statistics, the number of arrests that they made within like the first 100 days. And those numbers are very high, higher than the previous administration. And so they intend to continue ramping up immigration enforcement. So this bill provide over 27 billion for immigration enforcement, right?
That's crazy.
So this is to fund immigration enforcement, the agents, the immigration enforcement operations in general. There is 45 billion for immigration detention. So this money will help fund immigration detention centers, essentially running the immigration detention centers. And then there's also 51 billion for the construction of the border wall. So that's something that we have heard about, especially it was a major, I think, policy item or agenda that President Trump pursued in his first term. This is coming up again. So 51 billion for the border wall. Other significant changes, and I want maybe your audience to pay attention to this, is that this bill creates fees, special fees. So two things: create fees for certain immigration application, and then increases fees for the same for immigration applications. A big one is the new asylum application fee. As you know, asylum is free. Yeah, so you don't have to pay. Now, with this bill, there will be a $1,000 application fee for asylum.
What?
So,
$1,000?
$1,000 to apply for asylum. So this is a big change. Um, and there will be a separate fee of 550 for work permit, and then that work permit will only have a 6-month validity period. So currently,
Hold on, time out. You said a lot. We need to
okay,
pause.
okay.
We need to pause. So I want you to like first repeat that again, right?
Mhm, mhm,
About the asylum fee and then the EAD card.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah, this
So
is insane. Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
currently, you don't have to pay any fee to apply for asylum, right? Whether you're applying for asylum at the border or inside the U.S. or through any other way, right? You don't have to pay for asylum. Asylum is free. Now, with this bill, there will be a fee, an application fee for asylum, meaning that for you to file your asylum application, you need a fee. You need to pay a fee. And then that fee is $1,000. Um, and then there is no fee waiver. So so this bill makes it clear that the administration cannot accept any fee waiver for this particular fee, the asylum fee. So in addition to the asylum fee, you also have to pay $550 to get a work permit based on your asylum applications. Currently, if you file your asylum application, you wait for 5 months, you can apply for a work permit free of charge, right?
You talking about the EAD card, right?
The
What we
EAD
call
card, yeah, the
okay,
EAD card, the employment authorization card, work
okay.
permit. So if you file for asylum, you wait 5 months, you can apply for work permit,
Oh
the
my
EAD card, without free of charge. You don't have to pay any application fee. Under this bill, you'll have to pay 550 to get work permit. And then the work permit, currently the work permit has a 5-year validity period. So if I apply for work permit in 2025, it will expire in 2030. So that's the validity period for EAD cards. Now, under this bill, the EAD card will only have a 6-month validity period, and you're gonna have to pay 550 to renew every
oh
six
my
months as long
God.
as your application is still pending. Um,
Yes. Just reading the comments here, Yamid on Instagram said that's crazy. Indeed, it is. And then Odette's Abuki says so people are going to pay in order to be able to work. And the answer is yes, if
yeah.
this bill passes. So asylum fee, big thing to
Mhm.
take asylum fees. There will be a $1,000 fees for that. It is insane because it is people who are being persecuted in the country of origin
Right.
and they have no means to survive here in the US.
Mhm.
Therefore, they're applying for asylum, not just for to receive protection from the US government,
Mhm.
but also to be able to live, to
Mhm.
be able to work. So they
Exactly.
start with nothing. And you
Mhm.
telling them you have nothing, but we want you to give us $1,000
Mhm.
for us to grant you that protection, from
Right.
us to grant you
Right.
that paper that will allow you to apply to
Mhm.
work, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
That's crazy. $1,000 because I know that they check your income, they
Mhm.
see how much you're making.
Mhm.
But like you said, the asylum application itself is free.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then there is the EAD card,
Mhm.
the work permits that after you apply within 5 months of applying, you get that EAD card, the employment authorization work
Mhm.
card for free.
Mhm.
And under that this new bill,
Mhm.
people will be able to not only pay $550
Mhm.
to get that card,
Mhm.
but that card is only valid for 6 months
Yep.
versus right now it's valid for 5 years.
5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. And again, as I mentioned, so this bill creates new fees, and then also increases existing fees. Like for green card application, currently it's 1,140. Under this bill, that fee will go up to 1,500, so $1,500. So, and then there is a wide range of application fees that are being increased, but these are the, I think, the notable changes, significant changes: asylum and green card. Um,
Uh,
and
Before we continue, I think we have a question, and folks, please, we are with attorney Niels Kinwani. If you got questions for friends, for yourself, I'm sure that he will be able to try to answer. Or even at the end, like, right, we want to make sure that the brother Niels provide his contact info so that y'all can contact him. And like you say, it's on case to case basis as well. So we have a question from Yamid. Yamid, sorry if I'm butchering your name. That person say, what other conditions do you have to fulfill for filing asylum? Are there any other loopholes that the administration is going to abuse? These are kind of the questions.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen since the Biden administration, there's been a number of changes to the asylum application, especially the asylum application process, especially for people applying for asylum at the border, right? I think this administration has expressed interest in um, uh, bringing some reforms to the asylum program. I would say that we're expecting maybe more changes to the asylum program, essentially making some of the asylum process stricter, and just essentially cracking down on some of the people that are trying to apply for asylum. Um, for now, this is the big change. We have not seen any other changes. I mean, the asylum criteria is still the same. So asylum is for people fleeing persecution on the account of race, um, race, political opinion, membership in a particular social group, nationality. So the asylum criteria is still the same. The process is still the same currently. But again, I also want to caution the audience that we have seen senators. There are senators that are pushing back against some of these provisions. So there might be changes or modifications or revisions in the Senate, but we'll see what will happen. That's why it's important to keep to track. This
What's the name of this bill that is currently,
one big beautiful bill act. Yeah.
one big beautiful
Mhm.
big act? Who's sponsoring that bill? Like, who's writing or co-writing that bill?
So as explained, so this is being sponsored by the Republicans. We've seen House Speaker Mike Johnson taking the lead on especially on the negotiations, because there's a lot of negotiations in the House, and Speaker Johnson has taken the lead on most of the negotiations in the House. Um, but yeah, we'll see what happens in the Senate. It'll be interesting to follow.
Wow, wow. That was a whole lot of roller coaster. Like, I thought we were gonna have. I knew that this topic is important. That's why, with Friends of the Congo, we thought it would be important for us to discuss immigration, because a lot of the work that we're doing involve, obviously, work around the Congo, and that implies immigrants and nationals. But we also wanted to be aware of other communities that are being impacted,
Mhm.
and knowing the situation of the state of immigration in the U.S., being
Mhm.
informed and informing folks
Mhm.
how to even move, how to behave, and what's going
Mhm.
on, what to expect. We thought it was very important,
Mhm.
but I was far from knowing that these were big changes to come,
Mhm.
and that's
Yeah.
just um crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't see any other questions, so I think we can pause there unless you wanted to add
Yeah.
anything else. And I do think if you can also provide your contact information, or we will actually do a post later as well, and providing resources, and we'll make sure to include yours
Yeah.
when and doing this post on Instagram on what are the changes that
Yeah.
folks should be on the lookout
Yeah.
for.
So other changes include limiting public benefits that were granted previously to immigrants, limiting them to only green card holders. And specifically, what I mean for federal financial aid. Now, immigrants like asylees, so people who have been granted asylum, they could apply and get
for FAFSA.
FAFSA, yeah, financial
Yeah,
aid. So under this bill, only green card holders would be able to benefit from be eligible or qualify for financial aid.
that's
So
crazy.
currently, asylees, and I think people who have been granted like T or U visa, people who've been victims of crimes, they can benefit. They're eligible for financial aid, right? They can receive financial aid under this new bill. Only green card holders can benefit for financial aid. Also, the child tax credit is also another change. So under the child tax credit provision, this bill specifically says that to get the child tax credit, so both parents and then the child that they're claiming need or must have social security number. So if any of them, one of them does not have a social security number, they will not get the child tax credit. And also same thing for Affordable Care Act. Only green card holders will be able to benefit to qualify for insurance,
Medicare
yeah,
insurance.
coverage under Affordable Care Act. Same thing with SNAP, only will be limited to green card holders, Medicare. One last thing that I would like to add is the remittance. This is very
What's that?
important. Yes, remittance tax. So this provision essentially says that for anyone, if you're sending money overseas, and we do this a lot because we have family members overseas.
Yeah.
So if you are not a US citizen, a verified US citizen, then you need to pay 5% tax on any money transfer uh, going
Wow.
overseas. So this is also very
So does it
important.
mean they're gonna have regulation on like Western Union,
Yes.
MoneyGram, and all these institutions that sent money?
Right.
Wow.
So it's adding
PayPal.
5%. Yes. So regardless of which company you're using, there will be a 5% um, tax on money transfer sent abroad, overseas. If the sender is not a verified U.S. citizen, again, we don't know how these companies will be able to verify U.S. citizenship. Perhaps you need to bring your passport if you're a U.S. citizen when you are making the money transfer overseas. So this is also a big change um, uh,
Wow.
under this bill. And I think we have covered the big changes.
Wow. Yes. Well, that was a whole lot. Bad news after bad news. We will be on the lookout. We will be providing more um, updates. We will do our best to bring you back, and as soon as there is something new.
Mhm,
And also, the work that we have, Friends of the Congo and you. So it's an open door policy. So feel free to join us and engage in conversation like this because they are very important for our job to organize, right?
mhm,
Like folks cannot organize, they cannot come out
mhm,
if they know
mhm,
that they are going to be targeted, if they
mhm,
know that they need to survive that immigration aspect first. So we
mhm,
need to collectively figure out like how
mhm,
can we support
mhm,
folks in our communities, how can we support folks in our circle,
mhm,
and yeah. So thank you so much, brother Niels, and thank you all for following us on various social media, YouTube, X, and Instagram. Checking if there was more questions. If not, we're gonna be back on X on a space. We're gonna be breaking down the specifically Congolese news with former President Kabila speech a couple days ago, and I'm sure Brother Niels, you probably followed that. Um, and also, he's come back. He went to Goma. He finally entered the I would say occupied Congolese territory right now under the Rwandan occupation. So he came back, and he's right now in Goma. So we're gonna break that down. We're gonna discuss that and also the mineral deals. So hopefully y'all can jump in and be connected on X. With that being said, thank you so much, Brother Nails. Appreciate talking to you always. So we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me. Take care. Bye
Yeah,
bye.
thank you. Bye.